without the fans, it's just a horses running around a load of fields or
Yeah.
and a ball. Like ultimately, fans are the lifeblood of all sport.
It's great to be having a chat this morning with Dominic Matcham, who is founder of a company called INVADES. It's made a significant impact on engaging students and young people with live sport.
We started out in 2019 and have sort of been growing steadily ever since. I'd say we're a sports media company with an events business.
Yeah.
Because the strength of our TikTok and Instagram really drives ticket sales for the events. So our model is really about capturing people's attention on their phones and on social media and bringing them into the real world and in-person experiences and events. So we work across the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand in horse racing, which is our
Yeah.
primary product, cricket, rugby, darts, rowing, and polo.
Wow.
This year, we're starting new partnerships with women's football teams. So we've got a partnership with Arsenal and a partnership with Liverpool,
Brilliant.
which is very exciting. But yeah, the premise really is to inspire that next generation of sports fan. And I think we're of the belief that in this very social media digital world we live, yes, you can consume sport on your phone, on the tube, on TV, but
Yeah.
actually you're never going to get that hair-raising moment through those platforms. And the only way to get that real thrill and that real energy is to be in stadium. And I think what we've done very well is mastered social media
Yeah.
and digital works to create physical audiences.
Fantastic. And what inspired you to establish INVADES? How did you sort of identify the need to attract a younger audience to live sport and particularly horse racing?
So I went to Loughborough University and I started doing events taking Loughborough students to Nottingham. So at that time I was still doing sort of nightclub nights, and then I thought, actually, why don't I try sort of running a day party or a music inspired event at a racecourse,
Yeah.
the same racecourse that I'd been to in my final year of uni. So our first event was at Nottingham, and the event sold out in 3 days.
Wow.
I
Brilliant.
think we quickly established from both sides of the market that there was demand. So young people were looking for cool one-off events, different experiences, potentially using word like Instagrammable experiences. So obviously getting dressed up and going to the races is
Yes.
very shareable thing to do
Yeah,
from a
yeah.
social perspective. And then from the supplier side, sort of we quickly established that racecourses and racing in general was crying out for a younger audience. Without the fans, it's just a horses running around a load of fields or
Yeah.
and a ball. Like ultimately, fans are the lifeblood of all sport,
Yeah.
and
Of
without
course.
them, you know, everything falls down.
And could you share some challenges maybe you faced in the early stages of INVADES and how you managed to overcome them?
I'd
I guess
say,
COVID. You experienced COVID, didn't you, in your
yeah.
early
So
days?
2019, I quit my job. I was
Mm.
working in finance, and then 2020, obviously COVID hit, and my parents were like, "Well, that probably wasn't your brightest move."
Yeah.
Starting an events business in a global pandemic.
Mm.
Yeah, the pandemic was a huge challenge for our business, but one we fortunately were very lucky to turn into an opportunity. So, see,
Yes.
Australia and New Zealand at that point were the only countries that reopened. So, New
Mm.
Zealand had very few COVID cases. They locked up the borders and events were still able to run. So, during COVID, we launched the business in New Zealand, and I was running events for 2,000 people from Zoom, which was
God, how
absolutely.
brilliant.
But fast forward to now, we now have a brand established and our business established in Australia and New Zealand, which I think without the pandemic we never would have done. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does Invades leverage social media to connect to sort of Gen Z consumers and promote?
So we've actually gone with the approach that we never really want to sell a product on social media. Our main thing is entertaining the audiences on the channels which we
Yeah.
operate. So our content is all about entertaining the audience. It's
Mm.
not saying, come to Cheltenham next weekend, tickets are
No.
25 pounds, like, which if you look at general marketing within sport, I think they do too much of that. And
Yeah.
actually, if you think about the best, like Apple, it's all about a feeling and it's the
Mm.
emotion. Why are
Mm.
you buying? They're not talking about we've got better
Yeah, yeah.
process.
So it's sort of less commercial. It's sort of getting away from the commercial side of it, isn't it, really?
And ultimately they will buy a ticket if our events are good
Mm.
and we deliver on our promise. No, for sure.
And so, what do you think was the most surreal moment in your journey so far? Is there, I don't know, a certain event, a person you met, a moment of, my God, this is really brilliant. This is happening.
I love the process of running the business, but
Yeah.
maybe to answer your question, I did a keynote at the Racing Foundation conference.
Okay.
Um, that was really nice. It was about 300 people in the audience, and I think I was really nervous. The keynote went well. The reception from the audience was very good, and there was an article then written in the Telegraph, which was quite nice.
Fantastic.
A guy called Marcus Armitage, who's
Oh, I know Marcus well.
and it was nice to sort of for me to have recognition from obviously the Telegraph's a great publication,
Yeah.
but also traditional racing media, someone who is really passionate about the sport, but
Yeah.
also a bit of a purist. For him to someone in his position from a publication like that to be going, this is a brilliant thing for the sport, and what
Yeah.
Dom's doing is great. So that was a really
Yes,
nice
that's
moment.
fantastic. Good.
But I've got an article in the Times coming out in March, which
Oh, brilliant. I'll look out for that. So,
yeah,
what strategies would you say have been the most effective in expanding Invade's sort of operations across the UK? Well, and everywhere, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland.
I would say knowing who our customer is and how
Mm.
we talk to them.
Yeah.
We've had over 9,500 brand ambassadors who've applied to work for Invade. So these people who are talking about our brand in their local communities are people of influence within those communities. And I
Yes.
think what I've understood, I think, is once you have the eyeballs, you can sell them anything. And
Mm.
actually creating the eyeballs and having cool people talk and love your brand,
Yeah. Is
realistic, if you've got that network and that distribution, the distribution network, you can sell them anything. So
yeah, yeah.
we very early on recognized that we need to have boots on the ground, and
Mm.
actually relying solely on paid ads is a little bit short-sighted.
Yeah,
We don't do
yeah.
that.
What would you say the key factors are in successfully engaging younger demographic in traditional sport? Guess it's the fun, isn't it?
Going back to the basics of let's not assume that everyone wants to become a hardcore fan.
Mm.
Most spectators are doing this as a fun leisure experience.
Yeah.
I think our approach in combining dance music and dance music culture with live sport created a new customer experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Work with a brand called Cirque du Soul, and they do quite sort of underground led music events. And I
Mm.
think rather than just having a shitty wedding DJ,
Yeah.
it's something a bit more refined and tasteful for our audience. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's important. But in terms of attracting a younger audience to sport, I think it's down to things like if we're launching an event, what time of day are we going to do that? Because
Mm.
I'm not going to do it on a Thursday morning because they've all been out on Wednesday
And they
night.
all
So
got a
like,
hangover and
it's,
yeah,
or
it's important
when's
though, isn't it?
when has student loans dropped, or
Mm.
when's payday, and we're
Yeah.
going to then we're going to hit them on a platform, we're going to hit them on WhatsApp or we're going to hit them on Snapchat because that's where they're talking to their friends.
Yeah.
It's you have to sort of peel back the layers to really reach that audience.
And it's all
And I
about
think,
timing, isn't it?
yeah, all about timing. And also, I think lots of brands have an over reliance on paid ads. And it's so easy just to scroll past a paid ad. Whereas if your best mate or someone in your friendship group goes, Panda, right, we're going to this event, you're going to be way more.
So much more powerful, isn't it? I mean, it's just too shallow that the paid ads, it just doesn't really.
No.
The roots don't go down, do they? Far enough.
Sort of your Grapevine thing is all about sort of like-minded people interacting with one another, and personal recommendation actually is probably the most
far more powerful.
Yeah.
Far more powerful. Yeah. No, absolutely. And how do you envisage the future of INVADES and Doe? I mean, actually, I haven't really asked you about Doe. Can you quickly tell me?
Doe's in its simplest form at the minute is a flexible work platform for young people and provide staff for stadiums, racecourses, festivals, events, restaurants, bars, pubs across the UK.
So how do you envisage the two businesses sort of in the next 5 years?
The US, I think I'm really excited about launching in the US.
Wow,
huge number of stadiums, huge number of universities, a market which, is exponentially bigger than the UK. I'm very interested to see that journey from a customer coming to us for a day at the races or a day at the cricket, and then putting them into a proper grad job. And I think we're solving a real world problem. It's helping young people, and it plays into this idea that young people want one of two things: fun or money, which I think is pretty much true at that age.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. And members will enjoy listening to that, I think.